at which point did they decide they need TIF money in order to do this project? Do you know, Councilmember?
Yes, so the TIF is comprised of 3 different properties: the apartment building, the office building, and the hotel. They got approved for another building, which was supposed to be their affordable apartment building, in 2016. They got everything to build this building. You think they built it yet? No, they say no, we can't build it because it's sitting with a parking lot. They making up excuses. They say this is where the parking lot is supposed to go for the other unit, so we can't build it unless we get approved for the TIF. But you got approved for this in 2016. But they never built it. So now I asked them when they plan on building. They said 2020. But contingent upon this TIF going through.
Right.
So.
All right. Do you have a few more minutes, or do you need to head out? Just checking.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, so if you don't mind, I'm going to ask Will, Merrifield, Miss Davis, and Miss Elliott, if you want to come up front. I'm sorry we don't have a mic today, so we're going to ask you to speak
They have something to drink?
loud. No, unfortunately, sorry.
What do you want to do now?
If they don't hear you, I'll just mic check you.
What they're saying too, and
You want me to stand up and listen?
no, you can sit down.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's up?
So we did have a one-pager on the Brooklyn Manor situation, but I'm just going to ask, just to start again, if, Will, could you, you're an attorney with the Washington Lawyers Committee, can you, from your understanding, again, just give us, like, what's the basic definition of a TIF?
Yeah.
What is a TIF?
I mean, from my perspective, a TIF is a complete giveaway to developers in order to give them money and help them build projects that they don't really need the money to build the projects with. It's just a giveaway to developers. Like Councilman White said, the justification that they use is that these are blighted communities and they needed an injection of capital in them. But the economics, especially when we talk about Brooklyn Manor, this developer at Brooklyn Manor has told us very straightforward that they didn't need any government money in order to create their project. And now the government, the DC Council and the mayor wants to give them $56 million for a project that, like the developer says straight up to us, when we asked him to create more affordability in the project, we said, we'll help you get money to create more affordability in the project. And he said, it's not a question of economics for us, it's a question of sociology. So I think that gets underneath development in DC, but also gets underneath these TIFs and what they're really about. The other thing that I would say is that people haven't really brought up is that these TIFs create giant tax holes all over the city. So the TIF is the government gets money from a bank, gives it to a developer, and says that we're going to get paid back that money that we gave to the developer up front through the tax revenue that's going to come in for the new people that move into the building. So that tax revenue should be going to pay for schools, should be going to pay for infrastructure, and instead it's going to pay back the government for the money that they just gave to the developer up front. So it creates huge tax holes all over the city. But can I take a step back from that for one moment and just sort of talk about the Brooklyn Manor situation, sort of the history of it, what we're fighting for, and then what our demands are with this TIF. And then I want to Ms. Elliott and Ms. Davis to be able to speak on it, because these two have been champions in this fight for 6 years. Well, I mean, you guys have been fighting for 30 plus years out of Brooklyn Manor. I've just been involved for the last 6 years with this recent redevelopment proposal. But Brooklyn Manor sits in the Rhode Island Avenue corridor. So all that development that's happening on Rhode Island Avenue, not exactly a place where you need a giant injection of capital. That's one of the hottest markets in Washington, D.C. right now. The developer at Brooklyn Manor, or the developer Mid-City who owns Brooklyn Manor, they want to demolish the 535 units that currently exist at Brooklyn Manor that are all affordable. And they want to build in place of those 535 units over 1,750 units on the site. So they want to increase density on the site. They want to triple density on the site. In tripling density on the site, they're proposing to eliminate the 535 units of affordable housing. They're saying they'll bring back 373 units of affordable housing, where there now exists 535 units. The other thing that they want to do besides eliminating a significant portion of affordable housing that currently sits on site is they want to eliminate all the 5 bedrooms that are currently on site, all the 4 bedrooms that are currently on site, and a significant amount of 3 bedrooms that are currently on site. So like I said, we've been fighting against this redevelopment project for 6 years. We fought it at the first stage of the zoning commission. We fought it at the second stage of the zoning commission. Right now, my organization, the Washington Legal Clinic for the Homeless, and myself, we filed an appeal, appealing the second stage approval appealing the second stage approval that zoning gave the developer. So that's one lawsuit that's outstanding on the project. There's another lawsuit that's outstanding on the project. So there's 2 outstanding lawsuits associated with this project. The other lawsuit is brought by Covington and Burling and the Washington Lawyers Committee. And their lawsuit is a federal lawsuit that says that the plan that Mid-City put forward is discriminatory because it eliminates family units. So 2 outstanding lawsuits on this project. With 2 outstanding lawsuits on this project, the developer walks into city council and says, we want $56 million for our project. And city council, the first vote was unanimous to give the $56 million for the project. So we think that that's absolutely absurd. We also, my position on this is that you can't, as our politicians in the city, go around constantly talking about affordable housing this, affordable housing that, when you're campaigning and you're trying to get votes, and then give $56 million to invest in a displacement machine. This project is a displacement machine. It's tripling density on site and while eliminating a significant amount of affordable housing and eliminating large bedrooms. It's doing this, as we all know, you guys are all here, you're participating in the Grassroots Planning Coalition. It's doing this in the midst of an affordable housing crisis, which is hitting who the hardest? Families. It's hitting families the hardest. Until recently, we had DC General filled up with families in Washington, DC, sticking in between a jail and an STD clinic and an abandoned hospital. So our position to the Zoning Commission was, look, this can't be compliant with the comprehensive plan because in order for this to pass, it has to be deemed a community benefit. And in order for something to be a community benefit, it has to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the community. Eliminating a significant amount of affordable housing, eliminating large bedrooms, while you're tripling density, cannot be seen to benefit the health and safety and welfare of the community. The Zoning Commission, as it does, rubber stamps the proposal. So that's why we filed an appeal on the proposal. I will say also, if you listen to the way Mid-City Financial sells this project, it's very Orwellian because they sell this project as an affordable housing project. So, we've hit, in these past 6 years, we've hit every civic association in Ward 5. We have, before the second stage zoning commission, we had a probably like 300-person rally outside the zoning commission before we went up and it was heard. So we've been all over the place everywhere. Recently with this TIF, we were unable to participate in a public hearing, the Tenants Association on the TIF. Why were we unable to participate in a public hearing? One, because this bill was fast-tracked, so we didn't have appropriate notice of the public hearing. And 2, because we had a reply brief due for our appeal. So trying to get together, the reply brief, organize buses for the tenants to get people down to testify. So then, even though we've been out everywhere for the past 6 years, the pushback we're hearing from council when we're fighting against this TIF is, well, we didn't see you at the public hearing. We didn't see you at the public hearing. And my question to council is, where have you been? We've been out here forever. There's been 2 front-page stories on the Washington Post about this. One of the stories documented the displacement pressures that the developer was doing ahead of the redevelopment. So the developer, Mid-City Financial, ahead of the redevelopment, had this giant eviction campaign. They were trying to clear out the property as much as they could, so when they went to zoning, they could say, we don't have to replace a lot of affordable units because there aren't that many people here. So again, this was documented in the Post. Like I said, we've been all over the place before the first stage zoning commission hearing, before the second stage zoning commission, we did the council walkarounds. We tried to get support. Grosso and Silverman offered a letter to the zoning commission that said, you know, they support our demands. But my point is, we've been everywhere on this. Council should be aware of this. And the fact that they are putting forward and agreeing with the proposal to give $56 million, more than half of what the government sets aside in the Housing Production Trust Fund. You know, the government sets aside $100 million in the Housing Production Trust Fund, and they act like that's a huge deal. Well, here they're giving $56 million to a developer that's going to displace people who said out of his own mouth to us, he doesn't need the money. So this is development in Washington, D.C. So we're opposing the TIF, obviously. We are going to do council walkarounds. We have information that I don't know if Prisa.
Yeah, that's on the table.
So there's information on the table that shows our demands. We're asking people to contact their councilman. What we're asking for, we're not asking for the project to be not done. What we're saying is that if you're going to give this $56 million, because what we've heard from the government up to this point, when we asked them to support our demands, which are all the 535 units that currently exist at Brooklyn Manor, when the project is redeveloped, those 535 units should be brought back. They should be brought back at the level of affordability that exists there now, and all the large bedrooms should be replaced. Those are our demands. When we've gone to the council before with those demands, the council has told us, this is private property. We cannot do anything for you because this is private property. So what we're saying now is, okay, well, now that you're going to give them $56 million, now it's on you, council, to say, all right, these $56 million, they come with some conditions. And the conditions are the replacement of 535, the replacement of large bedrooms, and what I didn't mention before, which Reverend Washington would kill me for not mentioning it, is jobs for the community. So we want people to be able to participate in the redevelopment of their own community to get valuable job training opportunities for that. So that's it.
Just pause for 1 second, and we're going to hold questions for after the ladies speak as well, but Councilman Trayon White had his hand up, and I just want to make sure you all get a chance to respond to him. Go ahead.
So, real quick, I don't know much about this particular project. I learned about it probably about 3 weeks ago. And I hear you saying about the newspaper articles and front page articles and things like that. But I do know there was a group, there were two groups. The first group I saw was about 75 residents from that community down there saying this is what they wanted. Then I spoke after that to the council member of Ward 5, who said he also wanted the project. So I don't know what to say about that. But then I saw you guys down there as well advocating for your needs, and so most of the time, it's like a council thing. Like if I'm in my ward, don't try to impose anything on my ward. And I know people that not in the council don't feel that way, but I do think what you are saying holds a lot of validity, and we have to figure out a way to get that incorporated. But I know for me, and I can't speak for all the other members who was down there, I didn't see that we proposed the project until like a few days before everything was going forward. And I may have been consumed in my own stuff going on in my ward, but I just wanted to speak to that. And I think that the residents did have some valid points that were opposing the development. But for a long time, I saw the residents who were for the project in numbers down there every day. And the developers could have brought them down there and paid them $100 to come down there, gave them some cigarettes and some beers. I don't know. It was in the building strong.
Okay, so thank you for sharing that, and let's let them respond. And go ahead, Ms. Davis. Go ahead.
You know, I like what you said, and you know what? We might be imposing on other councils' wards, but in this city, it's all together. I asked you to come and walk with me that Sunday, you didn't show. So I'll put that out there, and you can think about that.
We had a shooting, guys. I told myself to call you. I mean, we can go back and forth.
No, we're not gonna go back and forth, because I don't think it's petty like that. Someone from your office could have called me, y'all had my number, and let me know. But Let there be. All the councils that's in this daggone city is put in here by the residents. You work for us, we don't work for you. When we ask for these things, and those people, you probably was right when they came down here, it was by their, the developers, it was. Because see, all the developers in my neighborhood want us is to be divided. We're not divided. See, we love change, but change for the better, and that's not change for the better. When you started kicking out large families, taking these little kids from these schools in the neighborhood, places that they have grew up around and been there all their lives, and then you got the grandmothers in there. We got a lot of seniors over there. We had a lot of seniors. Some of them probably didn't move, because you know why? The developer paid some of the people to move. They paid them to move so that they won't get to have the kind of people that they want in there. And when we got to the zoning board, Mr. Hood threw us under the bus because he got paid. Like most of the people in the city do, they get paid underhanded. We are still fighting, and we are going to fight. All we asking for is $535. We can't get that, and they get $1,700. And they didn't want to come down to the government and ask them for $56 million, but yet they are private property. Well, it was private all the time. It never changed. And then the council's going to sit up there because they don't want to hear the truth. And I don't care who they are. And Ward 5 council member, he just a money hungry, running after their presidents wherever he can get them. And I have told him that, and I'm not scared, because for the simple reason, we are human beings. And we have children there. We have grandparents there, been there 40, 50 years. I know some of you council people don't care about the grandparents. I know you don't. You don't want to hear nobody speak about it. But when we come with the truth. If you want to know what we want with that $56 million, if they get it, y'all should come out and talk to the tenants. Because we are sick and tired of all of these developers coming in the city, taking over our residents and putting up stores and department stores and all this, and taking the money from the government that is taxpayers' money. Your taxpayers' money. Our taxpayers' money. Y'all don't seem to understand when we go down there and we talk to the council people and they tell us one thing and then they lie out the side of their mouth. Silverman did not tell the truth. She said she was on our side, but as soon as that developer came in the city, Silverman had a party for him, and that was all over with. She wasn't on our side no more.
Lock her up.
You know, no. She didn't come out when we went down there and confronted her because she was scared. She calling up the security. Well, we come in peace. We don't come to fight, but we can stand our own. She wouldn't come out there because she knows she lied. So see, and we was there. And we told her she lied. So it ain't no big thing. Nobody seems to care what we are asking for. They split the families up over there. My family and I got split up. So that means my daughter and I, we in one, and my granddaughter's in another. But then they're taking the 4 bedrooms that been vacant for a long time, close up one of the bedrooms, and then they're gonna have it for a 3. How you do that if that ain't underhanded? Then you're gonna go down there and ask for it. Yeah, those ones that y'all got down there, they go down there, they afford the development. We afford them too. Just don't treat us like dirt. Don't treat us like the dead president is more important than we are.
Okay.
All we asking for is $535.
All right.
Same size bedrooms. That's all. If y'all can't see that and y'all want to give that $56 million away, it's not fair. You need to wake up, because when we get put out on the street, and them taxes go up, they're gonna hit your house.
Okay, and before we take questions, I want to just give Miss Elliott a chance to add to the conversation, and also, Miss Elliott, give us some direction about what you'd like this group to do in support. If you could add that to whatever else you want to say.
Councilman, I want to address his question about everybody being down there.
Okay.
Mid-City paid seniors, they were mostly seniors, that came down there every day and object to that. We know that. So, like I said before, if you got the money, you can just about get anything that you want. I just want to address that to you. You understand? Now, as far as most people want to know why we feel like we should have affordable housing there. I knew Eugene Ford Sr. very well, 27 years ago personally. And his dream was to make it affordable because the people at Brooklyn Manor stood up and helped him save that property 27 years. He had so many violations that they came all the way from Baltimore down there at Israel Baptist Church. And the people on canes, wheelchairs stood up and helped him save that property. So you got a lot of people that's there that maybe some have died out, but they're still there. And we feel like we should have a part of it. And we're not trying to stop the development. We're only asking for something that he made a commitment in the beginning when they asked to build these properties. So those are some of the things we are putting out there. With you all, we just want you to support us as families, and not only us, all over Washington, D.C., they're doing the same thing. You find people under the bridges, you find them in tents and everything else. If they close down all of these properties, where do you think people of color is going to be? And it does not affect us. It's going to affect everybody because it's a domino effect. So we're asking you all to be in support of us. That's what we want.
All right.
And Councilman White, just with respect to the issue you brought up, I do think that there is a disconnect as well for people that the developer brings back down to say that they're in favor of the project. Everybody's in favor of the project, but only if they get to stay. So the developer is telling everybody, hey, we're gonna build you a brand new, apartment unit, everything's gonna be a lot better around here. Go down and tell the council that, you want that done. And of course, people are like, yeah, I want a new apartment, I want new nice things that the developer's promising. But if you look at the developer's plan, you see that not everybody's gonna be able to stay in the project. But the developer is telling everybody, you're gonna stay, you're all gonna stay, just come down and testify. So I think that there's that disconnect that everybody will go down and say they're in favor of the project. But if you get underneath the numbers, and what we saw at the second stage of the zoning approval, the zoning commission said plainly that if large families are displaced by this project, it's okay, because the community benefits outweigh the displacement. If voucher holders are displaced by the project, it's okay, because the public benefits of the project outweigh that displacement. So that's in black and white in the zoning order. But I think a lot of people that go down to testify in favor of the project aren't aware that that's in the zoning order and that they're at risk. So they testify in support of something that they're not sure might displace them.
Okay, let me see.
Let me just add one more thing. Let me tell you how slick the developers are. We have 4 and 5 bedrooms. I never heard anything like that. Do you know they have started boarding up bedrooms?
Yes.
To stop families from moving in.
Yes.
There. I mean, not developing, opening it up, enlarging. I'm talking about putting sheetrock across a whole bedroom to
Yes.
close it up. That is a fact. That is a fact.
Okay, let me see the hands of people who have questions, and I'm going to start with people we haven't heard from yet. So I'm going to go with Meg, and then Ambrose, and I'll get to everybody else. Go ahead.
Will, I wanted to ask you about the status of these 2 lawsuits and what you expect could come out of it and how it would affect the displacement that's already going on.
So the status of the 2 lawsuits, like I say, the appeal, we have the briefing done. So we filed our initial brief, they filed a reply brief, we filed a reply to their reply. So we're waiting for the oral arguments to happen. What that could do, like in Berry Farms, is that could get the project remanded back to the zoning commission. What we asked for in our appeal, what the basis of our appeal was, is saying to the court, look, the zoning commission said that displacement was okay for voucher holders and large families, and they didn't do appropriate fact gathering to make that determination, because they have no idea how many voucher holders are on site, how many large families would be displaced. So unless the zoning commission had that information, they can't say that the public benefits of the project outweigh that displacement. I don't think any public benefit would outweigh that. But, so what we want the court to do is to remand it back and order Mid-City to make these numbers clear. Make clear the demographics that are on the property right now, so we can match up those demographics that are on the property right now to the developer's plan. and see whether or not what the developer is saying is true or what we're saying is true. The developer has not given that demographic information during the second stage. They were very clear that they would not give that information, and the zoning commission didn't make sure that they got that information. As far as the federal lawsuit that's being handled by Covington and the Washington Lawyers Committee, that is just on the large family issue. So I'm not a part of that lawsuit, but my understanding of that lawsuit is they're trying to get the developer to build more large units at that property. So, but I will say that although those two things are out there, the biggest thing, the biggest sort of leverage that we have right now is that they've asked for this $56 million. And DC Council could put conditions on that $56 million and say, we will give it to you if you comply with the tenant's demands. 535, all large bedrooms, and jobs for the citizens. So right now, this is a great opportunity for us to leverage this money that they're asking for to get the conditions that we want on it. And it would be interesting if the DC Council did that, whether or not they would give the money back or whether they would accept the money with those conditions on it.
Okay, Ambrose?
Yeah, so my understanding is that they are seeking to eliminate more than 40% of the existing affordable housing that is there.
Yeah.
More than 200 units of the 535. So that's about 40%, a little bit more than 40% of it.
So there's 535 now. They're saying that they'll bring back 373, so it's a reduction of 173 units.
That's almost.
But like you said, to your point, it's also a reconfiguring of the bedroom sizes.
So here's the thing. My understanding is that Brooklyn Manor is one of the last locations in DC to have 4 and 5 bedroom units.
Yes.
If it's not the last, it is one of the last to have 4 and 5 bedroom units. Could the ladies please talk about the effect of eliminating 4 and 5 bedroom and even 3 bedroom units? Even the new developments that are going up, they're not even including, very few of them include even 3 bedroom units. And how important having 4 and 5 bedroom units is for families to be able to live. So if you could talk about that briefly.
Well, first of all, Mid-City became one of the first properties, Eugene Ford Sr., when he got the property and he bought it, and he made it so that he knew that the district needed large bedrooms for families. This was his whole purpose of doing this. So he knew that people basically need each other, you know, like daycare, all kinds of reasons why you have extended families in large bedrooms. Right now, daycare is out of sight. If you have your mother there that's lived there with you, it's much cheaper. So it's going to affect. They are saying, Department of Human Services are saying about jobs for people to get out here and work. But if these large family apartments are not built, then what's going to happen to the young generation, like that extended family that we need so much here in the district? So it will affect it. It will have a big effect.
Okay, I'm gonna get Ricky's question, then Shabazz. And now we kinda gotta move on too, so I'm gonna ask, if you don't have to ask a question, please, ask them separately. Go ahead. I'm sorry, did I say Ricky and then Shabazz? Go ahead. I know you had your hand on, you're up earlier.
You forgot me, I have my hand up earlier.
I just need to understand what the structure is, because TIFs are being used, in my observation, all over the city, and they're not being used actually for just distressed areas. I mean, the wharf, as I just learned, has TIFs. Okay, so anyway, I want to, just it's a mechanical thing. There are 2 types of subsidies, as I understand it, and I'm not clear about that. One of them is lowering the tax base, so that's an incentive to that's a gift to benefit to the developers to not put as much money as they would have otherwise put into the city, into the general fund. The other piece of it, which is not featured in this, it's at the bottom, I mean, is that separate from that, which either always accompanies it or not, are bonds or notes or something or other, which is explains your 56 million. Is that, do I have that right? There are 2 different subsidies, and they're always used, and just explain it, just the mechanics of it, I don't quite understand the structure.
What, maybe if you're, as you're answering, you'll repeat?
My answer is, I'm not sure of the structure.
Okay, so the
Yeah.
question was, what is the structure of this type of giveaway? You know, and she was talking about two types of giveaways. One where it's a tax abatement and you basically say to the developer, you don't have to pay your taxes for the next 5 or 10 years.
No, that's not,
Or-
that's what I don't understand, it's not.
Right.
What this says, which is written by the CFO, I guess, right? This is
I
what
don't know who wrote that.
Well, it says from the CFO,
Okay.
but anyway, what this says is that the current tax base is frozen at a lower rate, and so when they come to tax, I mean, the wharf is an example, they're generating huge amounts of new business on an area that did not have any commercial, or very much commercial, payback to the tax base, and they're generating that, when they are going to not pay for some period of time, it's not clear, they're gonna pay it at that frozen rate, which is the rate that started at. That's the first subsidy. So that's very attractive, that's both very attractive to a developer because they're gonna have a lower tax base over time as this new development grows. It's also contributing less, all the new benefit, anything you would give to a developer to entice him to come in is reduced, is even modified by the fact that they're actually not gonna contribute over time. You know, the growth,
So I'm sorry, Ricky, but
okay, and
can
the
you-
second
what is your
piece, and
question?
the second, because I don't know, everybody keeps saying they're not sure. The second subsidy is either is or isn't always attached to it, which is a bond that goes to the developer. What's this 56 million? Where does that come from? I just don't understand the structure of the.
My understanding is that the TIF is financed by a bank, given to, the money is asked for from the bank gives the money to the developer.
That's not the tax then.
It's given, so that money is given to the developer, and then that money is paid back to the district through future tax dollars.
Yes.
It's the-
Do
yeah.
I understand? So the district is financing this part of the project on behalf of the developer, so we're going to the bank and asking for the bond or whatever it is, and then we're saying, we know that this project is gonna increase the taxes that are generated in that area, so we're drawing a line around that area, and all the taxes that then are collected are gonna help pay that back.
That's gonna pay back at the lower rate, so it's a double whammy. Is that correct?
I'm not sure,
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Okay, so, is there somebody that just wants to try to clarify that question? Okay, Renee?
Well, with the tax increment financing, as you say, they draw a line, this could be the TIF area.
Right.
And whatever the taxes that are being generated today before development continue to go to your police, your fire.